Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I remember it so you don't have to. And welcome to another rendition of Old versus New. Has wax on, wax off ever really taught anybody karate? Well, it did for this idiot. The Karate Kid, a hokey but still pretty effective sports film, centered around a kid named Daniel, who moved from Jersey to the Valley and keeps getting his ass whooped by a group of karate experts named Cobra.
Cobra!
Kai.
Oh, well, could you ever do an old versus new with us in the G.I. Joe movie?
The movie loses.
Awesome!
Anyway, he comes across a maintenance man named Mr. Miyagi, who teaches him karate and enters him in a tournament to fight the bullies and their crazy fucking teacher head on.
This is a karate dojo, not a knitting class.
Of course, Daniel wins, and they live happily ever after through 3 more sequels. But who would have thought that years later a spin-off would come around that would not only be intriguing, but just as good as the original? I am, of course, talking about The Karate Kid. Cartoon. Oh, hell yeah, Daniel and Mr. Miyagi are traveling the world to save the shrine! Look at this, they got motorcycles, airplanes, Amazon gods! He's even walking on a fucking torpedo! Blow some shit up! Oh yeah! Actually, the show was stupid, but they came out with another movie. Like everybody, when I saw the trailer for this film, I rolled my eyes. What, Will Smith's son is Daniel and Jackie Chan is Mr. Miyagi? Come on, it sounds more like a satirical sketch than it does an actual movie. But, to everybody's surprise, it was actually a well-put-together film. It had hokey moments like the original, but it actually managed to be passionate, dramatic, and still stay true to the original source material while being its own creation. Who the hell would have thought? But we're not here to glorify movies! Actually, we sort of are, but we're mostly here to compare. Which one of these movies got the job done better? The iconic original or the new reimagining? Which one had more drama, more heart, and kept a better balance? What's the better movie that everybody whacks off to? That sounded really bad. This is Old versus New Karate Kid. So, what better way to start off The Karate Kid than by looking at The Karate Kid? This is the best Karate Kid. Now, both these actors do a good job representing their characters and their age range. They're both tough, but sensitive too. They're not super strong, but they never back down from a fight. And they're both charming and cocky, but also know when to shut up and focus. In the original, Daniel, played by Ralph Macchio, moves from Jersey to the Valley and has a hard time fitting in.
I want to hear the truth. No, you don't want to hear the truth. All you want to hear is how great it is out here. Well, it may be great for you, but it sucks for me. I hate this place. I hate it. I just want to go home.
With Dre, played by Jaden Smith, he moves from one side of the world to the other. So I guess you could argue he has a little bit more to complain about.
We've been here less than a week, and I feel
like it's a year. I hate it here. I want to go home.
But nevertheless, both represent how hard it is to fit into a new place. You could also make the argument that because Smith is younger, you'd naturally feel more sorry for him when he gets beat up. Seeing little kids get injured isn't a fun thing to watch unless you're Willy Wonka, but then again, it's pretty hard to watch Macchio get his ass kicked too. So I don't know, which one actually leaves a deeper impact? Well, if I had to choose, and of course I do, I have to say Macchio. But to be fair, I think a lot of that has to deal with his age. When you're a little kid, it's common to get in fights, and if you lose, well, you're a kid. It sucks, but you're still allowed to look weak at that age. And if anything, it's kinda cool that you were in a fight to begin with. No other kid's gonna fuck with you. But Macchio's in high school, a point where standing up for yourself and acting like a man is a much bigger deal. If you fight when you're a kid, it's still sort of okay when a parent or teacher comes in to fix the matter. When you're a teen, that shit goes right out the window, and your pride suddenly costs a lot more to defend it. I think because of that, Macchio has a lot more to prove, and his struggle is much more painful and identifiable. He wants to be left alone, but not at the cost of his dignity, and he's willing to fight to defend who he is. Smith does this too, but like I said, it's a different age. If this kid was beating on me at that age, I'd be like, dude, Mom, there's a fucking crazy Asian kid who looks like a psycho. He knows Kung Fu, and I am scared shitless. Do something! In high school, you have no choice. You gotta fight. And thus, Daniel seems much stronger and more determined. I also have to admit, it is refreshing to see a movie character from Jersey who's not an asshole. Okay, yeah, I make fun of Jersey every once in a while, but even I know that not every person that comes from there is totally nuts. It's nice to see an actual positive Jersey role model. You know, outside of...
Leave me alone. Get out of my face.
Oh, shut your mouth, you dirty little hamster.
You look like Popeye on crack in my face, jerk off.
Oh, that show rapes me. I also get the feeling that Macho is sort of like Bruce Wayne. Now hear me out on this. It always seems like he's one step away from being an evil jerk himself. He always walks that fine line. Like he could turn to the dark side at any moment. But that just makes us all the more thankful that he is a good guy, wants to stay a good guy, and is willing to put his balls on the line to prove it. Not only does this make him more interesting, but it makes him a better role model and a better character. Smith, you did great, but Daniel-san is the more engaging hero. Point goes to the old.
Oh, that's great.
Wax on.
But remember, there are no bad students, only bad teachers. And what kind of teacher makes his student paint a fence while learning karate? Indeed, Mr. Miyagi has become an iconic image of the old wise martial arts teacher. But Jackie Chan really is an old wise martial arts teacher. So again, this is a pretty close call. In many ways, Miyagi is much more deceiving because he looks older, is shorter, and is not as physically fit. Jackie Chan looks like, well, Jackie Chan. So his challenge is a little greater to be visually deceiving. But they overcome that very carefully with the attitude they gave him. He's wise, yes, but he's also sort of a lost soul.
I thought you were just a maintenance man.
You think only with your eyes, so you are easy to fool.
He was destined for great things but chose not to follow it because of something painful that happened in the past. Miyagi is actually content with where he is and likes where he lives, despite the fact that he has a very sad backstory too. But there is a lot of weight in having Jackie Chan be in your Kung Fu movie. For example, when Chan's character Mr. Han actually talks about Kung Fu, it's pretty obvious he knows what he's talking about because Jackie Chan is playing him. You know he's not gonna lie about that shit. And that's another thing. In the remake, it's coat on, coat off, as opposed to wax on, wax off. But Mr. Han actually explains why he used this method to teach him.
Kung Fu lives in everything we do, Xiao Zui. It lives in how we put on the jacket, how we take off the jacket, and lives in how we treat people. Everything is Kung Fu.
Mr. Miyagi, on the other hand, never explains why he had Daniel wax his cars and paint his fence. Yeah, it's teaching him karate, but why the hell didn't he just, oh, I don't know, teach him karate?
Wash the car, sand the floor, paint the fence, paint the house, whole the floor.
I mean, think about it. It fools Daniel as well as the audience, but he never actually explains why. Why did he teach him this way instead of just showing him the moves? Do you think Daniel ever came to that realization? Hey, Mr. Miyagi, why'd you have me paint your fence? To teach you karate! Yeah, but why didn't you just show me the moves instead of having me paint your fence? To teach you karate! You just wanted your fence painted, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And why'd you have me wax the car?
Oh, 2 for 1 deal!
Let's look at the backstories. Mr. Miyagi lost his wife and son while she was giving birth, and was unable to see her because he was in the army.
Regret to inform wife, son, complication of birth, son.
With Mr. Han, he lost his wife and kid because he was driving the car and got into an accident. So that places even more guilt on him because he was actually the cause of their deaths.
I was driving. We argued about something. I was so angry. I lost control. I cannot remember what we argued about. I hope it was something important.
This explains why he's such a shut-in and rarely talks to people. With Mr. Miyagi, there never seemed like a concrete reason why to have that tragic history. Maybe the idea is that Daniel's the closest thing to a son he ever had, but even then, that's a little vague. It's ironic because I should like Mr. Miyagi more because he's much more confident and wise. But honestly, Mr. Han is the more interesting character. It's one of the few times I didn't see Jackie Chan in a performance, and I sort of forgot that he actually can do drama. He's done it in the past and can do it quite well if in the right movie. But aside from that, Mr. Han is more complex and has more weaknesses to overcome. They both learn from each other and make one another stronger. In the original, it was very much teacher taught student, but here they actually teach each other, which feeds into the whole balance subtext that both films are working with. Plus, Mr. Han can hold fucking fire in his hand! That's just awesome! Again, both do wonderfully, but Mr. Han is the more juicy performance, allowing for a lot more strength and heart to be shown and developed. Point goes to the new.
I think you talk too much.
Attitude.
And now for my favorite part, the villains. Do these guys even need an introduction? I mean, they're Karate Kid villains. They should practically have their own movie. And we're gonna look at them right now. Alright, I've gone on and on about the crazy karate teacher from the first movie and what an enjoyable nut he is.
You're a pushy little bastard, ain't you? But I like that. I like that.
Yes, very clever, old man. The ball is in your court now, but after the tournament is over, it is I who will possess the golden trophy, making me ruler of the dojo set next to the Walgreens drugstores. God, I need a girlfriend. His student, on the other hand, the main bully who picks on Daniel, is just sort of your run-of-the-mill jerk. The remake, on the other hand, switches it around. In the new film, it's the teacher that's just sort of the run-of-the-mill jerk, and the student that seems totally batshit insane. I mean, look into his eyes. He's fucking nuts. Clearly, these two should have been switched around. The Asian kid should have been with the American teacher, and the American student should have been with the Asian teacher. That way, these two could have their very own reality show, Mercy's a Penis. Mercy's a Penis! But I digress. Which of these are actually the better villains? Well, it all depends on how you look at it. If you're going for what's memorable, the original's got it down. I mean, you're never gonna forget these guys, they're so over the top.
I can't hear you!
Strike hard, no mercy, sir!
But if you're going for what's actually menacing, the newer film would probably come closer. Not that the other villains didn't have threatening moments, but there are just so many silly moments that keep sucking you out of it. The teacher in the remake is a little bit more interesting because you get the feeling he has it out more for the teacher, not the student. He's always calling the student a thing. He means very little to him.
从现在开始，谁都不许骚扰那小东西，直到武术大赛，明白吗？明白。
I think he's more interested in showing Mr. Han that his methods are better and stronger, and that anyone who questions it is going to get their ass handed to them. In the original, I don't know what this guy's problem is. He's just a fucking asshole who wants to start a fight because he's a fucking asshole.
And it's open season. On him. And you.
Though to be fair, it is a bit more rewarding to see the bully in the original hand the trophy over than it is in the remake. But again, that might be an age thing. In the remake, I keep thinking the kid is gonna steal it for himself.
Haha, mine, bitches!
Though to that film's credit, it's pretty fucking awesome when all the teacher students bow to Mr. Han. Look at that face, that's pure friggin' gold. Tough call, but I am gonna go with the new version. As much as I love these nuts, even I have to admit they're hard to take seriously. Of course that's part of the fun, but I don't think that was part of the characters. They're supposed to be a legitimate threat. And martial arts masters from China are a little bit more legitimate than martial arts masters from a dojo next to a grocery store. Point goes to the new.
But I like that. I like that.
Attitude.
But everybody needs support in a Karate Kid movie, and luckily there's a good supporting cast to show it. I guess we should start with the mothers, as they probably play the biggest role next to the main heroes and villains. The one in the original is pretty cool. She's loving, but also has a tough, no-nonsense attitude.
What's with the karate place?
No, it sucks.
Good, because we probably couldn't afford it anyway.
You can tell she's from Jersey, and she definitely shows the stronger sides of it. Very frank and loud, but also very honest and giving.
Fighting doesn't solve anything. Oh, well, neither does palm trees, Ma. Fair coming out here without asking me how I felt about it, right? That was really fair.
You're right. I should have asked.
You can definitely tell these two are mother and son and get along really well. The mother in the new film is not as strong. I mean, sure, she's loving and caring, but at times, she sort of seems like an airhead. She's always either screaming for joy over little things or nagging her son to hang her coat up.
For the 100th time, can you please pick up your jacket?
1 second, Mom.
No! Come pick it up now! God, how many times do I have to ask you? I'm sorry, what was that?
Nothing.
Okay, just what I thought, nothing.
I'm probably being too harsh on her, but I guess in comparing her to the other mother, she just doesn't seem as supportive. How about the girlfriend? They're both supportive in the generic movie girlfriend sort of way. Both are nice and want to see their boys do well. I guess if I had to choose though, I'd probably go with the original. Again, probably the age thing, as little children don't have much control over what their parents say. But even when the original is forced to be with the bully she doesn't like, she gives him a good punch in the jaw. This one mostly just looks sad in the corner, so I guess logically the advantage has to be given to her. How about the other supporting cast? That's about it. I mean, you have some brief characters, but they disappear pretty fast, and all the other important people are, well, dead. So I guess it's just the girlfriend and the mother. And seeing how I like both from the original, I guess the point goes to the old. Huh, that was easy.
What do you want me to do?
Wax on.
Once again, it's all tied up, and it comes down to the most important factor, the story. Of course, the original is the classic coming-of-age sports movie, and the remake does well to keep faithful to the material while still adding some new twists. But are the new twists better than the original, or are they just messing up a classic? First of all, let's look at the biggest flaw. The fact that the original teaches karate and the remake teaches kung fu. Well then why the hell isn't it called the Kung Fu Kid? You're calling it karate even though karate has nothing to do with it. It's like calling a movie Brazil when it has nothing to do with Brazil. Okay, bad example. But the point remains. If it's called Karate Kid, you better show some freaking karate. Kung Fu's awesome, but it's just misleading. How about the fact that it's in China and not in the Valley? Well, aside from the fish out of water story having a bigger impact seeing how it's further across the world, it does allow for a lot of pretty imagery, and on top of that, when you hear about the origins of Kung Fu, it is nice to actually see the origins of Kung Fu. What about the relationship between the student and teacher? Both do very well in showing the friendship, and you can feel the bond is very strong with both of them. Like I said before though, both films talk about balance, and in the new movie, there seems to be a lot more of that going on. The student helps the teacher through his problems just as much as the teacher helps the student. This also works with that clever metaphor with the woman controlling the snake. Is she controlling the snake? Is the snake controlling her? Or are they working as one? This comes back again when Chan and Smith are working with each other after he beats the car. It's pretty cleverly handled. Speaking of which, let's talk about that big final fight scene. In the new film, Smith uses the understanding of his enemy to his advantage, using the elements of control and being one to ultimately win the battle. That's both psychology and physical force that wins the day. In the original, it's said that there's a move you can do where, if done right, no one can block it.
Called crane technique.
Does it work?
If do right, no can defense.
Bullshit. That's a jump kick, and it's very easy to block. And even if you take that out of it, you feel like the kid understood both the philosophy and the technique of Kung Fu much more with this ending than you did with the original. I mean, it's there, but it's not as prominent or clever as the remake. You feel like this kid got it more than Daniel did. But the big deciding point for me was this. I realized that the few things that don't work in the new Karate Kid are because they had to carry it over from the original Karate Kid. The typical bullies, the over-the-top villains, the keeping the lovebirds apart just so they can get back together again. If you took these cliches out and just made it about a kid who wanted to understand Kung Fu from a wise master while also adjusting to his social life, this probably would have been a stronger movie. I mean, it's good, but it would have been better. It's the cliches of the original that holds it back. And while the cliches of the original are great and fun to laugh at, they are still very overused cliches, even for back then. At times, the original is so good it almost seems real. A lot of the conversations they have seem very warm and out of everyday life. But at the same time, you have those incredibly overused characters and movie moments that constantly suck you out of that reality. While they're entertaining, they're still distracting. The new film knows it's a movie. It never tries to be real life. Because of that, it never oversteps its bounds. It keeps the balance much better. So, By definition, the new film must be the superior picture. It knows more what it is and what it's trying to accomplish. There's certainly a passion to the original that the new film never quite meets as strongly, but it's still jumbled with over-the-top scenes that, frankly, makes it inconsistent. This film is consistent. It picks a tone, it tells a story, and it does it very well. Even though the original will still most likely remain the best known, it's this film that seems more carefully put together. And when you get down to it, it's the better movie. So the winner, by just a little bit, is the new Karate Kid, the superior film.
Oh, bullshit. I'm going home, man.
Attitude.
So thanks for joining me. I hope you had a lot of fun and... Oh, excuse me. I have quite a few Karate Kid cartoons to catch up with. Karate Kid!
I like that.
Mercy's a penis!